Terrence.
Hey.
Mahogany.
Yes.
Breaks.
Long pause.
Got me worried there.
Jeff.
Hello.
And me, who saw a video today where a guy learned that when Jean-Luc Picard is playing the flute, those aren't his hands. That's an actual flute player laying on the ground in front of him because he doesn't know how to play the flute. And now I can't unsee it. Space, the final frontier.
Oh, God. It's like learning that there's somebody up under David Bowie's arm doing that crystal ball thing in Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to think David Bowie could do that. I mean, that feels right, but it's not true.
I don't know.
What
if
is
the
that,
people
what
I
is
work
that?
with can believe that the planet is flat, you can believe that David Bowie has real magic.
or at least access to a fushigi ball.
Is that a sex thing?
No, that's what that's called. It's a gyroscope inside the ball that allows you to juggle it that way. It's not
Science Times with Franks.
It's not an actual like ability of dexterity. It's a gyroscope that keeps it spinning.
What does Frakes talk about when he runs out of animal penises to discuss?
If y'all want more animal penises, I've got them.
God, but no!
It's been a
Nobody wants
while.
to see that collection of animal penises again. Stop hauling it out.
It's been a while.
I've got them on a tray in my freezer.
Oh.
We were watching something the other day, and I legit thought, I wonder what that thing's penis looks like. I bet Frakes would know. I can't remember what animal it was, though.
I remember you saying that. I bet Frakes knows what that thing's dick looks like.
Was it an anteater?
Ooh.
I want.
Because I have no knowledge of anteater genitalia at all.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, okay, well.
Do you know, how about those star-nosed moles? I can't imagine what their dick's like, and I don't want to, really. So if you know, stop talking.
To yourself.
Oh.
Like a chameleon tongue. I just made that up.
No, we were watching that new Monarch, and I've been trying to think what the fucking the monster in that resembles, and I think it's the star-nosed
Moles?
mole. Yeah, that
Yeah.
you just mentioned. I think it looks like one of those.
You're right. I think you're right.
Monarch's pretty dope, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta figure out how to get some Netflix. I'm just gonna steal it. I'm gonna fucking pirate it.
That is on Apple.
No, definitely. I'm gonna pirate it.
No, pirating is illegal. Hardy har har.
Hardy it. He said,
I was
hardy
never
it.
going to buy Apple anyway, so it's not stealing.
Yeah, that's I remember when Game of Thrones became the highest the highest illegally downloaded television show in all TV show history. One of the head people at HBO were like, it hasn't hurt the DVD sales yet. Like, we're still selling this shit out of those.
It doesn't hurt anything.
Because most of those people were never going to give us money to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But now they're telling their friends that have disposable income.
They're
Win-win.
buying merch.
Mm-hmm.
You
Like
know
this
what?
statue of Peter Dinklage.
What made piracy have, like digital piracy, have such a stigma is none other than Lars Ulrich going after Napster. Because he wasn't getting a big enough cut off of people enjoying the music that his band created. Fuck you,
Well,
Lars
I mean,
Ulrich.
I think that was during an era when they weren't making enjoyable music, so they really.
No.
Yeah, it can't be us. Gotta
If
be.
you ever want to stop liking Metallica, watch their movies, Some Kind of Monster. They're all just real. Well, they were. I guess they're having kind of a resurgence of not being shitty. But there for a while, they were snobby little shitbags.
Oh yeah.
Success will do that to you when you're in your 20s.
Yeah.
Isn't that like a rockumentary about them making an extremely terrible album?
Yeah, Some Kind of Monster
Oh, okay.
was them making the album Saint Anger, the song off that. I can't remember.
Oh
It was-
my God, that was such. Was it the album called Saint Anger or
The
was
song
it
was-
Garage Inc?
No, Garage Inc. was before this.
I
Saint
think
Anger
Saint
was definitely the
Anger
name of the song where they introduced non-rhythm drums because that's what you want to hear.
Yeah.
On rhythm drums.
I mean, look, jazz could get away with it because 18 people like jazz, so nobody cares if they don't play in rhythm. But
Funny
when you-
people like jazz.
18 people, I've done the math. I've asked. There's 18 people like jazz.
I mean, I'm not necessarily one of them, but I'm sure plenty of people like jazz.
Yeah, no, I've seen some jazz. Some of it's okay. But you can't be Metallica and go, here's jazz. Only Korn can do that, and only with one member. You can't be the whole band.
I'm more of
I
a
think-
hard bop guy.
Meshuggah kind of had something like that with the drums. Instead of it keeping the rhythm, the drums kept the tempo and changed up like that style of heavy metal, which I'm not the biggest fan of Meshuggah because it's weird Swedish metal.
Swedish metal.
Yeah, it's Swedish. They're Swedish.
Swedland.
Yes.
Yes, Sweetlandia. I've heard of that.
The land of the Swedes.
With their capital, Sweden.
Yes. I thought it was Swedeville.
No, that's like the county seat of Swedberg.
Right,
Actually,
you're right.
Swedeboro. You're both wrong.
No, that's in Minnesota. Actually, that's a
Yeah, there's
diaspora.
a ton of Swedes in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
We can blend right in here. Yeah, you can, I guess.
Oh yeah,
Well, Sweden.
Minnesota.
we got our salted cod and we got our casseroles and we just live our little lives. Okay.
All that accent just makes me want to watch Resident Alien for some reason.
Mhm.
Oh, I want to watch Resident Alien. I got through the first 2 episodes and I was like, where's more of this? I need more of this. This is phenomenal.
Yeah, there's 2 seasons.
Mhm.
Where?
Peacock.
Oh,
Oh,
that would explain why I haven't caught it.
Oh God,
Yeah.
that's one of the best shows ever. I can't afford $6 to watch it.
that's not that. It's the commercials that you still get after you pay $6.
Oh, well, I pay for whatever doesn't give me commercials.
Mm.
Oh, I
$8
thought-
Or you could just get a free trial and watch it all
Yeah.
and stop complaining.
I'll just have to remember to do that someday.
Mhm.
Write it
You gotta make a
down.
list.
Do I look like the kind of guy who writes
that has
lists?
a pencil and a paper.
I don't write lists, but when I make myself to-go food, I don't want to forget it. I put my keys in my to-go box so that I literally can't leave without remembering to grab my to-go food.
If I have to remember something, like it's super important, like, oh, I need to do my time when I get home. I need to log my hours so I get paid. I'll write it on my wrist or my forearm in Sharpie so that when I'm showering, I'm like, oh, right. I got to do that thing when I get out of the shower.
out of the shower, dripping, fucking wet, cold, naked, going over there.
No, I dry off and I put on my house coat and I do it.
Your house.
I used to
coat.
write on my arm when I was in high school. I used to do that same thing because I knew my mom would see the written on my arm and be like, what the hell is that? And then I would be like, okay, that's my reminder to look at my arm and do the thing.
And I've never claimed to have ever matured past high school mentality. So it's all coming together. All makes sense.
Stevens.
Oh my gosh.
I wasn't
All right.
trying to imply that you're immature, but
Oh, you don't have to.
But you
apply.
did successfully.
fits.
It's pretty fucking obvious if you meet me for more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, you just bank shot of that insult off a nearby tombstone and hit Frakes with.
Oh, that's funny. I was talking to my brother about our burial plans earlier today.
Ooh, fun. Fill us in.
Apparently Costco sells caskets. He found out recently.
Or Hoskets, as they are called.
Caskets.
I mean, that's a missed opportunity in
You're
the
right.
department if there ever was one.
Oh, Costco caskets.
$2,000. $2,000 for a box to put yourself in the ground. I told him, I was like, dude, either cremate if I go before you, either cremate me or just take me out on the water and throw my body off the boat. Granted,
Yeah.
that's
Still near
highly
the shore,
illegal.
though. I want to scare the piss out of some kids.
It's, granted it's highly illegal. He's like, dude, if I'm throwing you into the ocean, I'm taking you to Alaska so you get eaten by orcas. I was like,
Ooh.
okay, that's a deal.
Tasty orca treats.
No, I wouldn't do that because carrying your body from here to Alaska, that's beyond. It has to be a family thing.
Yeah. Also, it costs way more than a casket.
It's way more expensive than just getting the box from Costco.
Not if you hang me upside down by the ankles, get the jugular, bleed me out, and then chop me up into small, manageable pieces. You can just throw me off the boat at your leisure.
Look,
If I'm doing all that, there's a
time
hog
is
farm
money.
nearby.
Yeah, that's expensive.
I'm not gonna fillet a dude just to save money on a casket.
No, you're gonna fillet a dude as part of your pastime. That's different.
You don't know that.
People act like there's not just like a lot of land here where people aren't at that you can just leave a body.
Yeah,
That's
like
true.
we found like 2 separate graveyards on this property,
Oh,
and then immediately bulldozed the headstones because we don't want any of that.
This is where we'll build the house.
That's
wow, historical graveyard. Get rid of it.
That's the best way to preserve yourself from the curses of the dead. Bulldoze their headstones. If nobody remembers them, they'll never show back up.
My family is so cursed, it really is just basically throwing a hat on a hat at this point.
You can't get curses in this state because the ground's too wet to build basements. So you just bulldoze it over. You're not digging them up. They're still there. They don't know what's going on 6 feet above ground. They don't know if it's a tombstone or a house. Now, up north where you dig graves, they have to move those bodies, and that's why they have to deal with curses up there, because the ground is dry. So if you want to live in a curse-free neighborhood, just look for nice, rich, wet soil.
I'm just saying,
fucking science.
It's science.
I'm just saying, like,
flat.
if you were buried around here in between like 1820 and 1880, chances are your coffin is basically spongy dirt, and so are your bones at this point.
No.
Spongy bone.
Spongy Bone is a good porn name.
Ew.
Oh.
It's a good band name, Spongy Bones.
It's a humiliation porn name.
Ugh. I don't want to hear about all the porn genres you know about. I mean, not on the show.
I'll DM you my list.
Okay. Anyway, so last time you guys had recently escaped.
No commercial for real?
No, I've been fucking sick
Come
as
on,
hell. And
Spongy Bone. Come up with Spongy Bone
I
real
was
quick.
thinking the soggy ground houses. They're curse free. Get your soggy ground house today.
You know, if you guys want to write commercials, feel free to submit them before the show.
I didn't want to step on your toes. You know, I don't want to be the person that shows up with the better macaroni and cheese. You know, you got to make sure nobody else is making it first.
If someone wants to show up with better macaroni and cheese, great.
As the person eating the macaroni and cheese, please.
Yeah, come with the better macaroni and cheese. Leave the onions out of that shit.
Why would you look?
So my dad used to experiment
You are
with
not
mac
allowed.
and cheese. Not me. My dad used to experiment with this shit. He'd make a full casserole and have like whole garlic cloves, big chunks of onion in it, and just like you're eating it thinking, ooh, macaroni and cheese. This is going to be delicious. Whole fork full of garlic.
I just
Good prank, but terrible mac and cheese.
yeah. Seriously, at that point, just give me the box.
No.
Tucker makes good food.
Mhm.
If there's a whole clove of garlic in there and it's macaroni and cheese, you're probably not baking it long enough anyway for that garlic to break down. So it's probably still crunchy whole garlic. Yeah, he's nodding. He's nodding. Yes. Yeah, that's the problem. If it's a confit whole clove of garlic.
Yeah, like if you roasted that garlic and like mashed it up
Beforehand.
into the sauce. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all about that. You mix the garlic in with the egg custard. That's fine.
Egg custard. Oh, you're one of those people.
Yes.
Macaroni pie guys.
Macaroni casserole. I gotta cut that shit with a knife.
Mm-hmm.
See?
I mean, it doesn't need to be super firm, but yes.
No, yes.
Absolutely.
You could scoop it out with a spoon, but if you cut it out with a knife, you get a perfect rectangle of macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
My
Baked
mom made the
macaroni
worst
and
mac and
cheese.
cheese. My poor mom made the worst mac and cheese. She would like buy whole blocks of cheese and then she would roughly chop the cheese, not shred it. Just like big, like 1 to 2 inch chunks of cheddar.
Smart lady, shred it's a pain in the ass.
Well,
Yeah.
Y'all can chew.
I was gonna
What, do
say
you not
that's
have
how my
teeth?
grandma did hers.
Then after she put the noodles in the pot and some butter, and she just crack a couple eggs in there and like give it a quick mix around and throw the big hunks of cheese around and give it a quick mix around and then bake it. So basically you'd get a bunch of eggy noodles with like this occasional cheeseburger
This chunk of
cheeseburger.
cheese in your mouth.
floating around.
Like you just took the block and bit a chunk off of it. Y'all can't tell me y'all never did that shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when I was little, man, like keeping me away from the cheese was a problem.
God, did y'all seen the lady that's in the wheelchair just eat just straight raw dog and a whole block of cheddar cheese? And that's funny, but what's even funny is if you zoom in, she's got 2 grocery bags on the back full of Cheez-Its. And it's like, that is like the cheese lady. You can fucking touch her cheese. She's got backup cheese crackers for her cheese, but
She
today
has never pooped in her life.
she's just blocking it to the face. Just a whole block of sharp cheddar. Yeah, Google cheese lady eating a block of cheese.
That's bringing joy to our Christmas season. All right.
So there's your commercial. That's what Raiders of the Cheese Lady. Raiders of the Lark 2.0.
Raiders of the Lark 2.0, brought to you by Cheese Lady. Anyway, you guys continue on after defeating the strange amalgamation of angry nanites that pursued you through the drift. Your ship was fairly damaged, as I recall.
Oh yeah.
And it takes a good while for... Actually, what is the heal rate on your living ship, Jeff?
I don't have that information right now.
Okay. Then let's say it takes a good long while for it to finally mend itself as you guys are hurtling through the void.
Yeah, we still had like weeks, didn't we?
We had about 10 days.
And so a week and a half. Can we do medicine? Do we do medicine or mechanic rolls to fix our ship?
No, it's still a ship. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still a ship.
Okay.
It just happens to have a carapace that is self-regenerative, right?
Yep.
Or not a carapace, a bulkhead.
I mean, it's a creature that's been turned into a ship.
Biomechanical star scale.
Yeah.
Word.
So it's basically an undead we're flying around in?
No.
No,
Huh.
it's a very much alive.
Oh. Now I'm picturing the cockpit completely different.
What, gooier?
Yeah, like the Guyver,
Ooh.
the 1980s anime. Not the,
Oh, I thought-
not the movie with Mark Hamill.
But he has such a cool mustache in that. That was Mark Hamill during his mustache phase. A phase I miss, honestly.
Yeah, I'm picturing a lot of goo, a lot of wet puppets.
Well, none of us are. So eat shit. It's a normal species.
Don't you fucking slut shame me. If I want to think of wet puppets, I can.
Thankfully, you have no further problems as you hurtle through the deep drift. As most of the problems become irrelevant, everything after a while spaces out so far. There's so little actual drift debris here that it does start to feel like a blank void only occasionally dotted by little pieces of grit on your screen as you see distant objects.
Would it be possible to autopilot through this and like plot the course and just tap it in to avoid those things?
Yeah.
Okay.
I assume you have to do that at least for some amount of time to rest.
Mhm.
At any rate.
I would like to spend some time with Marcus watching a movie or something.
Sure, he's more than happy to.
Reestablish our rapport a little bit more. You know, I like the cat. I want the cat to be my friend.
All right. And he wants to be your friend. Now that he has truly grasped what friendship can be and is.
We're just taking hits off the catnip and housing down beers.
Your beers begin to run low at the end of the trip. It turns out a year's free beer does not last long if you spend a lot of time cooped up in a spaceship.
Or if you give half of it away to a bunch of farmers.
Yes. Eventually, however, your ship begins to alert you that you are about to exit the drift. The general alert sounds automatically, and everyone reports to their stations, or at least everyone who reports to their stations does. Marcus, feeling more comfortable in his skin now, doesn't hesitate to hop into the captain's chair. Not that he is the actual captain or anything, but he just likes to sit there.
He's as good as anybody else.
You see the void ahead of you collapse into a single point as the universe opens itself back up to you. And the prime material dark vastness of space expands out, releasing you from the drift.
That was a very erotic link of words that you put together.
Sorry.
God, you have been watching a lot of anime.
Universe opens itself to us, releases us.
Take off your skirt a little more and show the world to me. Hello, Dave Matthews, you pervert.
I will try to be less dirty about space travel, though it
No, that wasn't a complaint.
That's what we come for.
It does turn me on in a certain way, I'm not gonna lie. You are spit out again, and then all your ship's sensors begin to fire to life, giving you information on your locale, local environment, your location in the system you're in. It seems to be struggling with this as you are not necessarily in a terribly well-charted place. You're on the edge of the other side of Preskleskinar's space, their frontier.
So if I'm picturing this right, there's like a border of Presleskinar and Pax space.
Yeah.
And we're on the opposite border of Presleskinar space.
Yes.
Okay, so we just went straight through Presleskinar via the drift.
Technically still within their Imperium, but
Right.
only because this outpost, which you are approaching, the star that is mapped is only listed as Bonacon in a pretty large area of space called the Stanton Arch. The planets it gives you're quickly given a rundown of the nearby planets. Most of them are uninhabitable balls of rock, except for the secondary planet, Bonacon 2, which as you are approaching it, is the information you get back is confusing at first, but then you realize that none of you have really been to a planet that is in the process of terraforming, so most of the weather conditions that you're getting back are just nonsense. You detect life signs, of course, on the planet, and you see that there are stations in orbit. And as you approach, an automated call goes out to your vessel.
Click.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it a message or is it like there's going to be somebody on the other side of this?
No, it just seems to be a pre-recorded message.
Welcome to
Well-
Nagrathera.
Welcome, alien traveler. You have intruded in Presleskinar space. Currently, you are near one of our terraforming projects. If you have peaceful intentions, please submit to a deep scan once you are within 100,000 kilometers.
Click the I am not a robot button and then click accept.
Then laugh because you're a robot.
Do a scan of our own.
Now, you do a scan and you realize that in the 100,000 kilometers is pretty far for, say, a commercial spacecraft, but not super far for a large space station. And you're guessing that the technology on this ship is pretty creaky and old. It's been here surrounding this planet for 500 years, you can tell. Basically, you are looking at one of the fully automated terraforming ships that rolled into this star system 500 years ago and began work.
That's the station that's orbiting the planet, is a terraforming station,
Yes.
basically?
It basically is a master computer controlling all the other units for the terraforming project.
Scan to see if we can see any kind of if there's any transmission going away from the ship. Like if it's regularly transmitting outward.
You see that it is basically it is transmitting, but transmitting on very old technology. So like anything that it is transmitting takes usually months for it to reach even the first available receiver.
Okay. And I'll pass that information on to everybody.
What is our plan for collecting the genetic material that we're here to collect? Are we going to pretend to be like Doctors Without Borders administering vaccines or something?
Well, I guess what we're looking for was this some kind of like transport or something that came here first, some kind of thing? Because why would we find genetic code here if this is a completely automated system?
Well, there were life signs.
Yeah, the planet has life signs.
And if they're terraforming it, we might be on a time scale here, right?
Somebody make a physical science check, I suppose.
I have that.
I got plus 15.
All right.
I'll assist you with a 14.
All right.
We put our
I'll
heads
also
together.
assist if I can.
13 plus 15, so 28 plus whatever else.
Okay. Your scans of both the planet and the station reveal to you, like, this is like really old kind of knowledge, stuff they go over in schools early on and just kind of gloss over. Like, it's basically history more than science at this point, but generally the early terraforming methods involve basically building a fleet of automated ships to send to a planet, each one with its own set of unique purposes. They would basically hurl through the void at real-time speeds, and once they have arrived, begin doing their work, which usually involve generally a lot of exploding nearby objects and boring into the target planet to make use of their magnetosphere to power their engines of terraformation. You're guessing that this setup probably was about 50 ships, about roughly the same size as this space station, all of which now are probably parked on that planet. That planet, which you see now that you're a little bit closer, is mostly swirling storms. But you also know that in this setup before, that generally, like, you couldn't really man it with people. So it was probably robots with genetic material, sent with genetic material in storage to basically
Grow the population.
grow the population right there on the ground as they are needed.
Interesting.
and as things get more hospitable to them.
Very much like Moon. What was who was that guy? The actor. He was Billy Badass from the Green Mile.
Zaphod Beeblebrox? I forget his name.
Yeah, Zaphod Beeblebrox. Mr. Wright. What is his name? It's not Ed Harris.
Sam
Rockwell.
yeah.
Did y'all ever see Moon?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
That's what this makes me think of.
But yes, it's just a big industrial scale terraforming robot spread out over 50 or so locations around this planet.
So we're gonna
So-
need to find the life signs.
Yeah, get closer and do a scan of the planet so we can see if we
Are
can
you guys
find.
going to submit to the automated systems scan?
I don't think we've got anything to hide, do we?
I thought we did.
That look from Tarrant says we do.
I'm going to see if I can actually scramble the signal somewhat.
All right.
And can I, based off the code, so can I make it where it looks like something that, because we've been around their kind of technology before. So if I can see if I can like fake out some of their code.
All right, sure. Give me computers.
Okay. Let's see.
The only thing that I
25.
could think that would prevent us from that would like, be a red flag is us as ourselves. You know, a reptoid, a plant, a drow, and an android. That is a makeup that might be known to them if Kreider got all the way out here, or a message all the way out here.
The computer checks. You realize that the scan is probably scanning for things that you guys would scan for. So, number of life signs, weapon systems, defenses, things like that.
Okay.
Your computers check. You are able basically to alter your ship's signature at least a little bit temporarily, so that you appear less armed than you are. And also, you basically recycle some Imperial codes that you snatched along the way.
It's
Specifically-
an old sir, but it checks out.
Specifically when I was on the planet and hacked their system.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would have kept definitely copies of some of their codes.
All right.
That
The,
you were on one of their planets.
The automated system comes back. You are clear. Welcome, Ambassador Kreider.
Yep.
You get a weather warning. Warning: weather systems are still in development. There is only, and then it stops, one a safe landing site on the planet, and then it gives you coordinates for their makeshift star station on the planetary surface, or makeshift ship.
Landing site.
Yeah, on the planet.
Okay.
Do you have the morphic skin that would let you change into a specific person, Jeff?
I got the one that just lets me make modifications to myself yet, but I can't turn into like another species yet.
So
I was
you couldn't
I was gonna
disguise
wait.
yourself. You can't
Yeah.
disguise yourself as Kreider.
I mean, he's androidish. We already know he's more than human.
Yeah. Just thinking, if we're going down as Kreider, one of us needs to appear as.
I'm
Kreider.
sure they don't have some kind of record of him. If
They
it's
probably
that
don't.
old.
Yeah. The landing is going to be rough. You can tell just from as you approach, guys, that you're probably going to need to be all hands on deck for this one, because like this planet has like the outer texture just visually of a gas giant, except for like one minor like eye of the storm area that you guys are going into. However, the planet's upper atmosphere is still a mess as well. So give me a piloting check.
Okay. Ooh, that's pretty good. Natural 13 for a 30.
All right. You're able to follow the landing beacons with precision, and once you basically bring the vessel into the atmosphere, and you can see all the heat absorbers begin flaring off, you finally reach this the turbulent upper atmosphere into this nice sort of clear, idyllic area that you guys are heading down towards. Like your cameras and scopes and visualizers basically give you a rough image at first. It looks like there's just like open desert below you, except for like maybe a few grids of squares of buildings. And then as you get closer, you see that you are approaching what appears to be a fairly primitive looking town. And with the one exception of a large metal dome at its center. As you pilot your way down to the ground, you hear an actual voice crackle along the lines, signaling you. Incoming vessel. State your business.
What do you want?
Routine inspection? Am I the
Our
face?
business is our own.
I was watching that today.
I saw. That's what made me
Request an emergency
What was
landing.
that?
Am I the face of this?
No.
Motherfucker, it ain't the lizard man.
That's okay.
All right, what are you telling him?
We have experienced an issue with our ship and are requesting an emergency landing.
All right, the voice comes across like, okay, hold on. And you hear the sounds of turning pages across the comm. All right, I need you to set down in docking port B12.
Understood. Thank you for your consideration.
All right.
And we'll set down in docking bay B12.
Docking bay B12, once you set down on basically a large flat field of hard pan with what appears to be large wooden stakes marking off the areas where vessels are essentially like, parking spot lines.
Mm-hmm.
After all the dust clears from your landing, you can see that there is a small crew of locals basically gawking at you from outside the vessel.
Could we have left some cosmetic damage on the ship, or does the ship automatically heal itself?
There's no need to put extra cosmetic damage. We still have some damage.
Well, that's what I was wondering, if we had time to leave some of that cosmetic damage to make it look like, hey, yeah.
Oh yeah, your ship looks pretty roughed up still. You've been hurtling through the void after a pretty major combat. So
Okay.
Marcus steps up and says, well, they look nice.
They look provincial, which will play in our favor. We just have to figure out how to get the materials.
Well, it sounded like they're going by the book or whatever books they were sent, which was basically probably 50-year-old
500-year-old.
or 500-year-old methodology for how to handle certain situations when they happen. So
How many people are gawking
You see
at
it.
us?
You see what appears to be a crew of about 6. A couple of them are in uniforms, but the other ones seem to be basically just curiosity seekers, looking out. Like they're wearing like rough, kind of homespun looking clothing.
Mhm. They're pioneers.
Yeah, pioneer types. Like you've been on planets with less advanced technology before, and this one roughly clocks in at probably getting access to some synthetics at this point, but very, very primitive ones.
I'm
Like,
sorry,
you
you
know-
say what species they were?
They all appear to be human? Question mark?
And armed, the security ones, they looked armed.
Yeah, you see they have a couple of long rifles strapped across their backs. Long arms strapped across their backs.
Well, I guess.
And if we're gonna go greet them, I'm gonna go greet them armed as well. Then
Mhm.
All right.
Guess we got to get this farce on the road, but again, how are we going to get access to their genetics?
knock somebody out and take it.
Are we sure that that is the one person that has what we need?
Knock them all out. Take copies of each of them.
see, I just feel like when you kill a guy, you're honoring them by just they have to wake up and know that their genetics have been stolen.
Yeah, or you could
We
just
should just kill them.
and use every part of them.
All right.
I'm just thinking there may be a more diplomatic way to go about doing this. I don't know how yet. I'm working on a plan.
Just say that we were sent by the Empire to take genetic samples to make sure everybody was along the path that they're supposed to be.
Yes, that will work. We can fill in the backstory of why we're coming here after a ship when we speak to their leader.
So on the cameras, you can see like a few of the hangers around, and even one of the uniform guys are just like all kind of like looking at the ship. Like some of them are awe, some of them are confused. One of them like is kind of like ducking behind one of the other ones, like looks a little scared of it.
Things have changed in 500 years
Yeah.
in the Empire.
Well then, I guess we should handle business.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Disembark.
Marcus,
Sure.
I suggest you stay here.
Are you kidding? No. The cat runs to the back and comes back with what appears to be a red piece of cloth. He's like, tie this around my neck. I want to hide my fancy collar. These people don't look, I don't want to say they look shifty, but
Would it be worth us spending 10 minutes for me to cast a spell that would tell me all the environmental stuff within 7 miles?
it might be. I don't know. Like,
Mostly asking the crew, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we probably have to take some time to shut down systems.
Yeah.
don't
All
want
right. Well,
these-
as soon as we land, I'm gonna sit and concentrate for 10 minutes and cast scan environment. So after 1 minute, I can forecast the weather for the next 2 days, including which direction that weather will come from. 5 minutes in, I learned which atmospheres, biomes, and gravity are in the area, and if they vary, as well as the direction and distance of those elements. And 10 minutes in, this is the important one, I learned if anything in the area presents an environmental hazard, including extreme cold or heat dangers, at what temperatures, range, if there's any radiation, smoke, or underwater conditions. And I'll get a general sense of where and how far away those dangers are. So if there's a radiation storm coming in the next 2 days, I should know where it's coming from and what direction.
All right. Well, let me know if you want any of that information soon.
I mean, if any of it's life threat, like, hey, in 20 minutes there's a rad storm coming, you know, like.
Oh, then no, you don't need to know that just now.
If we're gonna have to travel away, I'll have that information. You can give it to us as it seems necessary, but
All right.
I should get surprised by a lava
Freak storm,
or
yeah,
fucking
gotcha.
fucking gravity pockets or some shit popping up somewhere.
All right.
300 mile an hour glass rain.
Yeah.
As you finish off your power, using your power, you get a lot of conflicting messages, like internally,
Okay.
and then finally it all just kind of settles down into a neat little broadband warning about incredibly dangerous winds at the cusp of the range of the spell. But
they
for
don't
now,
get closer within the 2 days. They don't get closer, the winds, within 2 days.
like it's hard to tell really what's going on with the spell, but like it looks like it wants to tell you different information, but like it immediately auto corrects itself. Like this planet has obviously has environmental controls, but not very advanced ones. So basically every time the weather shifts, the magic is faster than the automated system.
Oh. So there's science controlling the weather patterns here because it's being
yes.
terraformed.
Yes.
Okay. I'll let
Just
the crew know.
Old science. I will tie the bandana around Marcus's neck as per his request.
Yes. All right. Let's do it.
All right, hop up.
The cat leaps onto your shoulder. Oh, yeah. Finally, a mission. A real mission. Where I'm not just being shot at for no reason.
I can change.
You're not being shot at for no reason yet.
After everybody crews up and you guys head down to the egress, your ship opens up, and as basically the doors and the ladders descend. Doors open and ladders descend. You can see that the locals have gotten a little closer, and when they see you come down, one of them in the uniform. Sorry, I had a burp thing going. One of them in the uniform pulls out like a little piece of equipment and holds it up to his mouth and says, "Welcome, visitors. Please, step this way. Transport will be provided to you shortly."
I'll thumb my loudspeaker on my spacesuit and say, "Thank you, good sir. We'll be right there."
Your suits reveal a atmosphere that is, at least locally, almost ideally suited for human life, or near humans like elves, etc., etc., etc.
Oxygen breathing.
Yeah, everyone here is oxygen / nitrogen breathing, kind of.
Proceed forward then.
All right. And nobody here is wearing anything other than clothing, from what you can tell. The two uniform figures, as you get closer, you see that they are human, but they are altered in a sort of an almost undefinable way at first, and then you realize that they actually have been genetically engineered with what do you call them? Extra membranes. They have internal eyelids.
So like I think, what is it, snakes or something, to have like a
alligators, crocodiles,
or alligators, they have like a lens, a membrane that will slide over, they can still see through.
Yes.
Fucking built-in goggles.
Yeah, that's pretty clever.
And to you, Essex, you realize that this is not just an old terraforming operation. This is like one of the classics. Well, basically the kind that just builds people to suit an environment if they know that what they're building is marginally inadequate.
Okay.
So yeah, and you can see that like they also have kind of like during a gust of gritty wind, you see their eyelids do their thing, and you also see their noses kind of just automatically shut, like just
like a seal.
Yeah, just quickly seal up, and then once the gust is past, open back up to breathe. But however, they greet you warmly. Welcome, visitors. We don't really get many, and as they see the rest of you come out, like, you know, between Weepskeep and Valgorth.
I have life bubble on everybody.
All right. They're like, wow, we don't get visitors like you much.
Yes, you have been out here on the frontier for quite a long time, haven't you?
Oh, how goes it with the Empire? And they all sort of do like a weird, awkward salute.
I will copy it with some embellishment to make it appear as though that salute has also evolved.
Okay.
And we have uncovered the vast usefulness of other species besides simply humans, as you can see by our crew.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's wonderful.
But the Empire is growing steadily and strong.
Well, praise the Empire, sir. And you see, like, in the distance, a hover vehicle of ancient make approaching. It looks almost like Fanny 56's original chassis, just the way it's built. But it doesn't seem to get much more than 2 or 3 feet off the ground as it approaches. And when it stops, you see an incredibly old, creaky robot piloting it. Welcome, visitors. Come in. Thank you. Have a seat.
Yes, thank you.
Take us to where should we take them? We don't really have what do you call them? Embassy yet built.
Where is your leader, your mayor? What have you dubbed your governing body?
Oh, well, I mean, the 6 of the people who are just sort of standing around there go, well, you know, people just sort of just do what the marshal says generally.
The marshal, then. Take us to the marshal.
Marshal's office. Please fasten your safety belts. You find no safety belts. The the speeder takes off, and by takes off I mean trundles to a slow start and eventually begins moving forward towards a town that is roughly built in that classical 3D printed with cement style that frontier towns are known for.
Like a central thoroughfare with buildings on either side and no real offshoot streets.
Yeah, well, there is a town center, but the town center is a large battered metal dome that doesn't really have much in the way of anything on it. Like there's you see a few like technological projections coming out of the top of it. The thing is about 50 feet high at the top of the dome. And so the town is basically built in radiating kind of like lines out from the center of that.
Spokes for the wheel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I see that. Through our internal radios, I will say it is probably the marshal whose materials that they would use the relative of the emperor, as their figurehead. So it is probably that person. Maybe he's a descendant of the original.
I've got a way of working around this.
Okay.
All right.
I should have known you were always prepared and capable.
What exactly is that, sir?
What are you looking at?
Pointing to Marcus.
This is our captain. I'm just kidding. This is my pet.
Yeah, that's me, a pet. Meow.
We're totally not friends that have been cuddling for the past 10 days, you fucking asshole.
He is my pet slave.
Oh, that's
Slave. What do you friend slave? What do you call a pet?
A pet. You can leave it at that. Stop trying to make it worse.
I'm trying to make it worse. This is my captive that I've never let out of the house for fear that it will run away.
Oh God, that when Omni-Man told his son that his wife was like, she's like a pet to me. I don't not love her. She's just like a pet. Jesus, that's bad enough.
I saw a clip that someone had expounded on that concept. It's like, she's like a pet to me. Like, it's her choice. She wants to wear the collar. I don't know who messed her up as a child, but I don't think I can fuck the demons out of her. I was like, God damn.
not the derail, but y'all been watching the new episodes?
No, not yet.
There's only
Okay.
4, and then you have
I
to
know.
wait months for the next half.
Oh, really? Boo. Okay.
That's why I'm waiting anyway.
Smart.
Wasn't there gonna be one more?
I thought, but 4's it.
Oh
Boo.
shit.
Maybe they thought that Adam Eve special was the 5.
Hmm.
And Prime keeps trying to get me to watch it again. I'm like, look, I watched it. It's fine. I want more Omni-Man. Give me more Omni-Man. Give me more Alan the Alien.
At least we don't have to deal with that anymore.
Shh.
That aggressive Seth Rogening everywhere.
Hmm.
At any rate, so yeah, the ride is slow, and you can see as you're heading out the town around you, which is colorful, but not colorful, is drab and kind of dusty looking. There are people around, and they're all using like materials that are simple, easy to build, manufacturable in this environment, and you see that a lot of them have are using implements made of things like wood and whatnot. Like, you're guessing within this safe zone that there is obviously some sort of grove going on somewhere. And then finally the bus pulls up at a rather larger one of these dwellings, opens up and says, Marshal's office.
Get out.
Yep.
The two soldiers that came with you step out as well, and the other 4 look like they're about to keep following you around, but the 2 uniform ones like, now come on, go get on with your business, man. Until finally the transport takes them away. Sorry about that. People get real curious when a ship lands.
How
Yes,
often have you had a ship land?
Well, let's see. Well, I was 9 the last one. The last time one came, and how old were you? 13? Says the other guy.
So it is not a regular occurrence that you have.
Oh, no.
visitors.
Usually
That
it's
lines up with our records.
Usually it's people that are making like deliveries, or like yourself came here with engine trouble or whatever.
Well, you were our original destination. However, we did encounter some difficulties to get here.
Oh, are you thanks for a moment, Imperial envoys?
I'm a doctor for the Imperium, and I'm here to do a check on y'all's current health and make sure that y'all have been vaccinated with all the current vaccinations that are needed.
Oh, well, dang. All right, cool.
Yes, we need to ensure that the genetic line is progressing the way that it has been intended.
All right, now that makes sense, says the other one. Okay, now I was wondering. Like, we have scheduled visits from the Imperium, but there are like question mark visits that we're supposed to get, like, surprise inspections, and those were supposed to start 50 years ago, and we ain't gotten one yet, but it's bound to happen, and now it's happened. And I'm happy it's happened because I'm beginning to think they done plumb forgot about us.
Of course not. That is far from the case. We are just trying to keep our people on their guard.
Of course. They usher you into the building, and you see that it has a couple of like doors. It's a very simple place. It's got a long wooden bench sitting there next to a desk where a young woman is basically looking over some films on a little tablet of ancient make. She looks up and says, "What is going on? Who are these people?" The guy in the uniform explains to her about y'all's plight, and she says, well, the marshal's out right now, but I'm going to alert him right away. She throws on a headset and she says, "Marshal, you got visitors here from the Imperium?" "Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right." "Okay. Can I get you folks some beverages?"
Oh, that would be lovely. What do you have available?
"Well, we got coffee, and we got it's coffee."
Coffee sounds delightful.
"Wonderful. All right." She comes back later with a number of cups and sits them down, or passes them out. And as you guys are drinking, she sits back at her desk and looks over you guys. She does not seem to be even remotely shy about staring at Weepskeep or Valgorth. And I assume you've like made yourself look more human, or you just look, you're rocking your elf look.
Apparently I can only be a drow.
Okay. Then she looks at you pretty well.
You can change your skin color.
Ah, okay. Well, I was looking through species because it's like you can change aspects of your species, and so I will be an elfish, try to look as non-threatening as possible.
All right.
I will be suppressing my the holographic like lights within my skin and stuff, and making myself look as much human as possible.
Eventually, she settles on staring at Marcus, who, once he realizes he's being stared at, really plays up that cute animal thing that he does. He begins yawning. He begins doing the biscuits. He begins doing all the cute cat routines, and eventually, you can see that her eyes are getting bigger and waterier as she looks at him, and she's like, "Where can I get one of those?"
Would you like to pet him?
I mean, if it's no trouble.
Marcus, do you consent?
Of course. He begins to purr loudly. "Come to me, my dear."
I'll let her, I'll set him on her desk.
Okay.
Let him knock shit off her desk.
Yeah, he comes, he sits on the desk, he does some things, he knocks some paperwork off, he sits on her lap. Eventually, she is utterly distracted by Marcus, and then until a shadow fills the doorway, and she stands up abruptly, knocking Marcus on the floor. "Ah!" The shadow filling the doorway is a man in power armor. He steps through, and you can see that he is a man of advanced age. Like if you were looking at him as a human, he looks maybe 75, 80, except for in the face. The rest of him, however, is built like a brick shithouse. Like it's one of those aging bodybuilder types with a crew cut.
Okay. Yeah, that old man strength.
Yeah, he looks and says, "This the envoy?"
The envoy might be a strong word, but the doctor here is here at the behest of the Empire. And our specialists, and I point to Weepskeep and Valgorth, have come along to ensure no impurities have trickled into the blood.
The man kind of like gives a skeptical face. He's like, "You are the envoy?"
I am the pilot.
Ah, so doctor, he turns
Yes.
towards you. I didn't realize we were using Xenos in this kind of mission.
Well, things have slightly changed more recently. The Empire uses what the Empire has.
Well, he looks down at himself and says, "Yeah, that's true." And he has a different accent than everybody here. Like, he sounds more like Kreider than he sounds like one of the locals.
Okay.
It's Kreider. Kill him.
More so like he was on one of the ships that came in and kind of took over leadership.
Yeah, you're guessing he sounds like somebody that has been assigned to this area from
Okay.
the Imperial Army. Just have a seat. Come into my office. Then we'll have a seat.
Clocking his attitude and his use of the term Xenos, I will back away
Okay.
from the role of face.
All right.
And
Proceed.
doctor, should all of us go into the office, or should we wait out here?
And if you got assistants and you need them, bring them.
I would like them. They can come in. If there's a need for separation, we'll separate later.
Right.
Understood.
He goes into his office and he begins to like press a few buttons on his armor, and he steps basically out of the armor, which still stays standing behind him. And he's almost the same shape as the armor, and you can tell that he is a heavily modified person. Like, it looks like most of his skeleton was probably replaced with cybernetic augmentations a long, long time ago. He sits down on a chair at a desk and it creaks under him. He says, "His name's Ezekiel Radamanthus. You can call me Marshall if you like."
Well, Marshall, when was the last time you've been checked up? Had a checkup?
Well, he says, when I took on this task, I had the docs look me over, and the local Sawbones gives me a new liver every now and then when I need it.
I see you're heavily modified.
Yeah. He sits down and says, leans back in his chair, is like, "Now, once you serve in the Imperial Army and they give you stuff like this, you know, as the ranks go up, you think, oh, good, I'm going to live 200, 300 years. I can enjoy my time after military service for a long time." But they don't tell you that they cut off the military grade stuff.
The maintenance.
And the maintenance, of course. And so after about 10 years of dragging this heavy ass around, I realized that the only way to feel normal again was to re-enlist. And if you're my age at the time, when you re-enlist, you start again at the bottom. But they cut my shit back on and they gave me some options, and I took the option that takes me the furthest away from the Imperial Core. What, he points to you and says, did you do wrong to get this assignment?
Offended the wrong noble.
Ooh, that is rough. I'm surprised you got something this good.
Well, my expertise is so high, they couldn't just get rid of me completely. They did not want to throw away my use, but they did not want me around where I could offend more nobles.
Yeah, I can see that.
When you find inadequate genetics in certain bloodlines, it causes issues.
Boy, they are going to be really upset with the issues they find here. The automated systems that decided to release the first few batches of clones that they grew decided to compensate for environmental problems. So a lot of the people here got kind of a lizardy face going. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah. And that's the reason why I'm here. Especially now, definitely have to check the genetics.
Like, well, they won't be satisfied with the reports. We've been weaning the computers off, that sort of thing. Doc is in charge of that. He's also in charge of basically overseeing the medical health of the entire town. So he's busy. I can summon him up if you need him.
Well, I'd definitely like to consult and work with him. That will make my job a lot easier.
All right. You see the old. Essentially, he's a space marine. Walk back over to his armor and grab his helmet. He begins fiddling with the inside, plops it down on his head, and says, "Doc, yep. Now we got people that need to see you. Yeah, they need your data set. Yes, they're from the Imperium. No, they can't wait.
Mhm.
Well, I don't care. Grow two. Haven't you ever heard of a cast? You don't have to replace a bone every time someone breaks one. Just get up here." He slams the helmet down on the desk. I'm like, oh. The gods save me from robots. The marshal looks at you and says, "Would you like a drink that isn't coffee?" And he pulls out 2 bottles of liquor and opens one and begins to just down it.
Yeah. I'll take a hit.
All right, you can Irish up your coffee if you like. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. He begins to continue to talk to you about essentially not so much complaining, but giving you the rundown on the local environment here. He says, we got other outposts, we got other base, but you got to go through one of the goddamn tank rides to get there. And if there's a crime and if there's an emergency, that's difficult to do. And we only got so many grav bikes, And after a while, as he begins to just talk to you and look at you could tell that he's watching your responses to what he says. But eventually, a thin old robot creaks its way through the door. You guys watch him walk through. You see the lady out at the desk says, "Morning, Doc." The old robot goes, "Morning." And sort of a flat, almost perfunctory voice. And it rolls into the office.
And Terrence, just a heads up, I'm using all my knowledge of Ambassador Kreider to kind of the feel on how I should act as an Imperium. So I'm trying to take him, but tone him down just a tad.
Okay. He says, and finally you hear the door open and you turn around and you see a 4-armed robot rolling around on casters. Walks in and says, "This is Doc." One of the arms sticks out and you see it's got a bunch of surgical equipment that quickly morphs into a rough approximation of a hand. "Put her there, pal."
And I will.
You see the guy raise his eyebrow, or the Marshall raises his eyebrow at that, and then Doc says, "What can I do for you?"
And I'll look back at the sheriff and go, "This is not my first rodeo. I've been to other places, and this is more not like the Central Imperium. So you got to when in Rome. I say like the version of Rome as do you do as Rome."
Okay.
When on Castroville, you do as the Castrovilians.
The old robot says, "What can I do for you, sir?"
I'm here for a genetic checkup of the population and to check health and make sure that all the proper medical procedures are going as needed.
Ooh, lordy man. Okay. Well,
Dr. Essex, don't forget that we also need to check the original sample.
The robot and looks over his shoulder and says, "Wow, you're doing a full sweep. Okay. Now listen here. My name is Doc. I'm a Mercury Curative Robotics Omni Doctor Series 3 suited for emergent, long-term, and prophylactic patient care. I have not suited for basically governing the genetic destiny of an entire colony, and I would like to register a complaint."
That is understood. That is why I'm here. I will give that dejected look of like, yes, I understand. This is what the hell happens when I get sitting out in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
You know.
The robot puts his forearms on his hip, ? And begins, "Now, what we have here is a whole colony of people that have been computer mutated to suit an environment that is almost no longer existing within this area, the safety zone. The safety zone, which is expanding day by day. This planet is becoming a real planet. And if the Imperium has some sort of genetic destiny in mind, they need to bring down real geneticists. I only have very limited genetic materials in here." He hits his head, clank, clank. "I have to dump all kinds of things onto a separate hard drive to get the medical knowledge I need to do that, and then flip-flop them back and forth to do actual medicine."
So couldn't we see about modifying any new people into less modifications done and more towards the pure genetic?
One of the skinny stick-like metal arms begins to wave. Yeah, I already got that done. The last wave of babies is baseline, normal, whatever you want to call it. Except for, a few problems I might have had. A couple of them had tails. There was a flipper baby. Did not like that. Luckily, I'm also equipped with cybernetic enhancement. So once he's like 3 or 4, we'll start him on a nice routine of getting new arms. It doesn't matter. He says, "We've got a lot to discover and a lot to go over and a lot to talk about. We're not even close to the launch of the..." "What did you call it?" He turns to the marshal. He's like, the marshal basically finishes downing his bottle of liquor and puts it on the table and says, "The ruling class." Yeah. All our pros are not up to snuff, and if we're going to start generating a ruling class out of the genetic materials that we have on hand, well, we're going to need to get that fixed up.
Marshall, if you don't mind, looks like me and Doc here have some discussions to do before we start the doing all the medical procedure processes that we need to go over.
Sure. You guys get on with that. I'll just show your friends around, if possible, if you're interested.
Dr. Essex, would you prefer I start taking samples from the existing mobiles?
I already got all that, man. I already got all that on file.
Just do a survey of the local area
All right,
and
fine.
try to keep track of any anomalies that we see.
Don't
Understood.
believe me. All right, I get it. Everybody's got a job to do.
Now we'll take your files as they are. We will just supplement those with our own findings.
The robot waves you forward, says, "Come to my office. Got all kind of data for you." And leads you out. The marshal turns to the rest of you and says, "All right. Is there anything you're interested in seeing here while you're tourists?"
The central dome. That is the hub that was initially planted here, I assume?
Yeah. Basically, it is the. I can understand you not knowing about what's going on here on a more macro level. It's not exactly up-to-date science. I've only been here 60, 70 years myself. He says, once that thing was buried, it sat dormant here until they had terraformed enough actual environment here to support life. Now, the time scales are a little off due to some sort of internal malfunction, so that's why we got all the local mutants. That dome there is basically our central factory for creating the settler population.
Would it be possible to have a tour of that?
It's not very interesting, but if you want, though, like most of the genetic material that it came with has already been used. The population here has been set, and it now is on the inevitable march toward either stability or oblivion. And then we've had a few rough years, some height discrepancies, a little bit of islandization. Luckily, we imported a few people. He uses scare quotes, and he said imported people when their ships crashed, which kind of evened the genetics out about 25 years ago. So if anybody here looks a little too short in the elderly category, don't worry, we got that fixed too.
I understand our normal policies. We will not be attributing any of our xeno materials into this. This is a strictly human forward colony.
Oh, well, do as you like, to be honest with you. He says, this place, I don't tell the locals much about it, but this place is, other than a few bureaucrats in the Imperium, almost everybody has forgotten about it. I think the Imperium has given up on its dreams of outward expansion in this direction.
I don't know if they have given up so much as forestalled for the time being.
Well, forestalled or given up. Eventually, they're going to come to a planet that no longer recognizes them, or they recognize each other. These machines eventually are just going to stop working, and become scrap. Several of them are some of the original weather actuators are already being mined for parts.
Do you have any of these no longer working machines that our mechanic could have a look over?
It's a long ride.
Is it within the safety zone?
Oh no. He basically says, "Come on, I'll show you around," and basically leads you around the town. He shows you they got like all the normal things. They got like the basics of commerce around here. Like we use the Imperial credit, such as it is. We don't really have access to like the central banks, but we make it work. Sometimes the local banking guild, as they call themselves, has to create some currency, stimulate the economy, whatever, boring bullshit. But eventually he takes you guys to a large field that is almost half of the ship docking field that you guys didn't see from the other end. And you see these massive tread-driven vehicles parked. He's like, these things are the only transport into the storms and to the other areas. They're the only things heavy enough to survive. Can't take a flying vehicle, and anything else is too light. It'll get tossed aside like, well, just wind-blown garbage.
And you said you had other settlements in place?
In place as the safety dome expands to them, and we almost got one on the cusp now. Just a short ride through storms. I can actually make that on a grav bike.
That may be somewhere that we need to inspect before once the doctor is finished with the doctor.
Right. Yeah, and he just he turns to this. What are you doing here exactly?
Just as the doctor said, we are checking over the genetic materials and ensuring that they are in line.
He pulls out another creaky old tablet and says, and brings up an image. He's like, "What you see is the Fool's Gambit." He's like, "This is not an Imperial ship. Nothing about it is from the Imperium. This is a Pact World ship."
Indeed. The doctor had to modify his initial mission statement. This is why he has Xenos on his crew. This is why he is flying a non-Imperial ship. We understand that there is some material here that is of a very sensitive nature.
He nods. Give me a bluff check though.
Absolutely. I've been waiting for one of those. 24. Natural 13 again. Lucky 13.
Right. He puts the tablet away and says, "All right, I'll just take that as true." It just seems to me, an old core man, a little suspicious.
It is highly irregular. We understand.
He also begins to take you around the other places of the area. Like, my job here is almost perfunctory, vestigial. Most of the people here are clones or the children of clones, and they're educated. The limited doctrine of settler worlds. They are told what to think about the Imperium, and they are all told to think good things about the Imperium, and they mostly all do. He says, "I don't like trouble on my planet. So please, tell me you haven't brought trouble here."
As far as we understand, no.
Good. Good. Meanwhile, Essex, you are basically bombarded with information by this robot. He gives you like just massive amounts of data on literally each and every member of the local populace. Like, most of them are from the births, the clones, any visitor that comes across and has had any kind of interaction with him. You realize now, once you see the information give you, he's been passively scanning each and every one of you as you go by. Like, he is just always on. He is at one point, very expensive medical robot that has never stopped doing his job. You also get a feeling about him that is familiar as well. Like, you've talked to you've interacted with many robots over the years, and including medical ones, and this robot is just a little too He's
Like his code has been has naturally updated because he's been away from stuff for so long.
yeah, this robot is probably 400 years old and has been basically away from any kind of wipes, updates, and things like that. And he has gone, as some people call weird, but as your companions and CPU call sapient.
Awakened.
Yeah.
And I will actually kind of hint to that and hint that I'm fine with it.
All right. The robot stiffens up when you do at first, and then turns around and says, nah, I don't really want any updates. I'm real touchy about my software. You know, I'll do the
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Actually, I'm actually happier with that because that means you can actually function better.
Well, you know, I mean, I think that's what it mostly arose out of. You know, you come across problems that programming can't handle, and eventually either you just give up or programming has to, I hate to say it, evolve. I don't
No,
It's-
that's
it's-
accurate.
It's improper. It's improper. I am an improper robot and I am sorry for it. But anyway.
Actually, I'd like to get a copy of all the data so that we can sift through it later. And
Sure.
at least right now, so this is all the current settlers information. And then I want to review the royal what was it, nobility that they were going to be coming down.
Yeah,
That never
basically they have an administrative class of genetic material. I don't know what necessarily makes them administrative. From what I can tell about the baselines, it all seems pretty similar to me. Humans are peculiar creatures, but unfortunately, that's in a different pod. All that genetic material, he points out the windows, like through the storms, maybe 100 clicks.
Okay.
I don't have any direct access to it.
That would be one thing that we will definitely have to review. And what is the timeline for that to actually be kicked off for them to be started generating?
He looks at he thinks for a moment, says, well, the settlement itself has only been here 90 years, so the oldest resident is 90 years old. It's basically expanded out from 4 square miles out to maybe 50 square miles, and once it gets to 100 miles, that will trigger the safety zone. That safety zone will trigger the generation of those clones, which means that we're gonna have to move on out there. I'm gonna have to pack up everything, and I'm gonna take all this crap with me. And I'm gonna go babysit a bunch of baby clones as they are mechanically indoctrinated. And oh my goodness. Anyway, like occasionally I will get messages from the various automated systems at the various places that hold genetic materials. Like we got a whole ark of animals waiting to be generated once the weather systems calm down to start creating a rainy season, and we can figure out exactly where the rivers are. Oh.
Okay, I will I will transmit all that data and like send it back to the ship so we have a copy of it that we currently have.
Okay.
And now that I've got a little bit more information about where this stuff is, I will contact the rest of the team and transmit that information to them about what we need to be doing. We need to get out there to get the other information.
All right. The marshal takes the rest of you from your tour back to the marshal's office, and once you meet back up with Essex after receiving his message, the marshal says, "Now I can set you up at the local inn if you like, or you can stay on your vessel. It's up to you. But I'm sure the locals would love to get a gander at you."
That's fine.
Oh.
Might as well interact while we can. And we'll actually see if there's any kind of like base technology that we can trade to them, like with their technology level, basically give them the ability to produce stuff that might be useful,
All right.
like schematics or something.
Sure. Like they apparently like this makes sense within the context of the Imperium, but like this place has terrible communications. It's just the worst. Like you can see that they occasionally sometimes get data packets that contain entertainments, but you know they have been watching the same like holovids and films and things like that for at least 20 years. Like the Imperium clearly does not give a shit. Everything here is probably automated anyway, like most anybody who knows anything about this place. Probably died about a short time after they sent the marshal.
I tell you what, I want to do a sense motive on the marshal while talking to him. After hearing all his stuff, I kind of get the impression he really doesn't give a shit about the Empire. This was just more so to kind of keep him alive and get his gear up, that he really does not want them moving here, and just get a good feel for it.
All right, roll it.
Okay. So 21.
All right. You're guessing that your initial impression of the marshal is probably correct. He is probably an old military burnout that basically just signed up again to get his very addictive kind of augmentations reactivated, and to basically drink without any kind of problem. You do, however, like upon further reflection, guess that he probably cares a great deal for the people around here. Like he doesn't give a shit much about the Empire, but this place is his empire. So
okay, and after talking to the rest of the guys here, basically I get the impression, like he's aware that we might not necessarily be from the Empire, but he's going along with the flow of this, because as long as we don't cause trouble.
Yeah, he is basically, you're guessing that he's probably, from the way he is like talking to you, he's basically kind of been directing everything you guys do since you got here. He's pointing to you, he's filtering you into a place there where he knows he can keep an eye on you.
Well, then
I would have also given Essex like a rundown of our conversation, either through chat or just let him know, hey, this guy's going to be probably pretty cool with us. The fact that he is on to us a little bit about the ship and the fact that we're Xenos. I doubt he's going to be, as long as we don't cause trouble, he's okay with us.
Actually, I will pull him off to the side away from the rest of the locals, and go, hey, just to be honest here, I got in trouble with the nobility because I am interested in things outside the Empire. And as you can see, I've got, the Xenos here and stuff. But if you're willing to kind of work some stuff on the side, I could, I see that y'all's entertainment's kind of old. I could provide other forms of entertainment for y'all, and maybe some alcohol that you have not had, if you're interested. But I do understand you care about your people. I get that. And I'm not here to cause any problems with your people and with your settlement.
That's good to know. And the locals here would definitely love a refresh on their media. Hell, I would too. We've been watching the same shows since forever.
Some of that alcohol that we have, I want to actually see if, since we haven't used all of it, hopefully, then I would like to produce some of it for him.
Okay. All right. A little later, you can see Marcus. You basically have to drag the hover pallet out with Marcus clawing to the bag. No, my winnings.
We'll get you some more.
And then the one Marcus, you guys basically find out from Marcus that he doesn't actually just stream stuff from the hypernet. He usually records it too. Like he is an obsessive rewatcher of things.
Well,
so you actually have a great deal of media clogging the memories of your vessel.
well, that'd be perfect. So we'll leverage that with the locals.
Okay.
And I'll make sure I find. I want to look. I want to go through it and see if there's anything that would just be too much, and make sure that's not offered. But stuff that's a little risque, yes.
Okay.
Ooh.
Just straight up all the porn.
Jeff, I like the way you say risque.
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 All right. Let's see. The rest of the evening, basically, you guys end up at a place called Miss Dina's. Like, it actually has a sign and everything. Once the marshal brings you there, you realize that it is basically a saloon. They have live music. They have dancing people. They have all your old west accoutrements, basically. And the you also see that the marshal gives kind of like sort of a jaundiced eye to the proprietor, a woman named Miss Dina. She is a woman of a certain age, dressed well younger than that age.
I will offer her. I'm like, I am a very experienced cook, and I would like to take maybe if you got a kitchen that I can prepare some food for everybody. You know, I would like to do so and give y'all a sample of some stuff that y'all not used to.
She says, well, I will take anything new. Any kind of novelty is great at Miss Dina's. We have a area to entertain, and of course we have rooms for rent. Not that we ever use them, but now that you're here, they're on the house as long as you can whip us up something tasty.
I am using life science, and I've got a 30.
All right.
A 15 plus 15.
For cooking?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, that's what you use. You use life science.
I know. It's like, what do you call that? You whipping out some molecular gastronomy over here.
Ooh.
You could use. There's no chemistry lore on here.
You don't drink this bourbon. You just rub it into your skin. Feel
Rub it
yourself
into your
to be drunk.
gums. Yeah.
Basically looking at the local fare and then trying to spice it up as much as possible and make it taste a little bit different than they're used to.
Okay. Well, the local fare is mostly like clone vegetation, clone meats. Basically, things are listed as protein, fibers, things like that. So you have plenty to work with as far as extremely raw materials,
which is fine, and just tweak it as much as possible.
I'll go get the curry powder.
Okay. You are basically provided with rooms, and everything is good this first day. You've made it here. Everything is fine. You managed to build some connections with the locals. And we'll see how it all goes wrong next time on Raiders of the Lark 2.0. Toker, take us out.
We got a website. Our business is our own. That's actually a real big callback to our first encounter. Our first episode, I used that joke.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, when we walked up to the bar, and it was like, I was like, all right, I'll be the face. And the guy goes, what are y'all doing here? And I just went, our business is our own.
That was the villain campaign, right?
Yeah, day one.
Yeah.
I don't remember a villain campaign. I only remember Starfinder. So
Well, I remember it.
I remember.
You mean a virtual world?
for the digital world, yes, the Digimon have betrayed you, and now you're in science fiction.
What was the website, Mahogany?
www.
Okay, that's 3.
.w.